I think this past week has shown that Europe is not a serious world power. First, look at how China treated EU dignitaries and representatives when they arrived at Beijing International Airport. They were treated like budget airline passengers rather than members of a rival civilization. And if you don't think this is humiliating for the EU, imagine if another nation had treated Trump like this, or if Europe treated Xi Jinping like this. And more recently, Trump just scored a victory in his trade war with Europe, where now American tariffs on the EU is 15%, generally speaking of course, which is higher than Britain's 10%, and way higher than the pre-tariff era of 1.6 overall. This deal has been such a disaster that France criticized von der Leyen for surrendering to Trump's demands. Also, this shows a defeat for those advocating Britain's membership of the EU. During the Brexit debate, Brits were told endlessly that in order to stand up to the Americans and to avoid a bad deal surrendering our food safety laws, NHS, and banking regulations, Britain would have to keep its membership of the EU, as 28 member states, in theory, should be able to secure a better deal. Well, if that is so, why did Britain got a more favourable deal than the EU? Why is France so unhappy? And also a lot of European Union citizens and devoted federalists like Guy Verhofstadt. I think the problem with the EU, rather than allowing European Union members to stand strong against America and China, actually made things more bureaucratic given the need for consensus between all of its member states, rather than each nation working in its own individual interest to deal with the superpowers independently. I think whether you are in favor or against Brexit, you should admit that the EU has been impotent against the changing world order, and that in a bipolar world between America and China as part of Cold War II, the EU is powerless, and that the UK and every nation is better off out rather than in. If a European Union is necessary, it should be more of a trading bloc or a friendship association rather than the primary means for Europe to yield its power worldwide. What are your thoughts on this? Comment down below. And please subscribe to my channel. More goodies are coming out, including an upcoming video explaining why I want the BBC abolished. Also, turn on the bell notifications so you do not miss a new video.
So I took that big picture view a long time ago. And what happened was, I mean, you see, we did have a referendum on this back in the 70s. And my parents were told, look, vote to stay part of this because it's about trading with our neighbours. It's going to be good for business. It means we can travel to Europe freely. No one thought, or very few people thought back in the 70s, that it would threaten sovereignty, that it would threaten nation-state democracy. And as the years went by, a project that started around peace became a project about power. Tony Blair himself said, this is now a project of power. And the ambition of the European Union was actually to become the world's leading superpower, miles away from what we told we were joining. Now, look, I understand all of these things, but the unit by which we want to live, our ability to determine many things that are very important in our lives, democracy, which for goodness sake is what we fought 2 world wars for, these things really, really matter. And to begin with, you know, my warnings about this were thought to be hysterical, but in the end, it did become a majority view.